Hello, my name is Caitlin and I read a lot. Welcome to another video. Today's video is basically an excuse for me to just talk about things that I love, and I'm very excited for it. But these are just for my boyfriends that are from fictional worlds, because honestly those are the only boyfriends that I've ever had. So see if you can guess who my number one is. It's probably pretty obvious if you have been watching the past couple videos. I mentioned him a lot. From Geekerella by Ashley Poston. This is actually one of my favorite books of all time, and the reason why is a large part because of the male protagonist. His name is Darian Freeman, and I think what sold me on this character is that he's just an absolute nerd, and maybe I have a type. Okay, by the way, this is a Cinderella retelling, hence Geekerella, and it is about Elle, and her favorite TV series, Starfield, is being turned into a movie, and Daniel Freeman, an actor that she absolutely hates, has just been casted as the lead, and she ain't happy about it. And then this basically just like follows their two stories and then how it eventually intertwines. And not only is it such a swoon-worthy and such a lovely read, I love it so much, but Darian is just so charming but also so awkward at the same time, and it's such a lovely mix. And I actually, looking back on my list of books, charming but also awkward seems to be a recurring theme. So I have a type: charming, awkward, fictional. Next book, I was contemplating whether or not to put this on the list because there is actually even less of a chance of me getting either of these characters because I kind of have a crush on both of them. It's Carry On by Rowell, and the reason why I say that there's even less of a chance of me being able to get with either of these guys is because they're gay. Baz and Simon are my two fictional crushes from this book, and they're the actual lead characters of this book anyway, and I love them both kind of equally. I kind of want to say that I'm kind of more attracted to Baz, Basilton Pitch, but maybe that's because he's a vampire. But Baz and Simon they're so cute together and separate. So I mentioned this book in my LGBTQ plus recommendations. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it because this is actually my favorite book. Simon is the chosen one. Simon is a very Gryffindor type, and I admire that a lot about him, and I think that's why I love his character so much. And he's just really funny. You can see it more in the second book, Wayward Son, but his humor is what really makes this a standout book to me, and paired with Baz's sarcasm and kind of dark humor, it's just like a match made in heaven. I absolutely love these two together. With Baz, on the other hand, he is kind of on the flip side. So a lot of the comparison between the two is that Simon is the sun and Baz is the moon, and I've always loved the night sky a little bit more, and I think that's why I love Baz so much, because he's a lot more complex, I guess. Okay, well, he's complex in a different way than Simon is, because they're both trying to find themselves, but a lot of the time he's just really lost in this, but the only one thing that he's so sure of is that he loves Simon, and that dedication, that loyalty is just heartwarming, and there's just something really interesting about this book. If you enjoyed Harry Potter, I think you might enjoy this one. It's kind of you love it or you hate it, so give it a try. I really highly recommend it. This book focuses on this character, hence why I'm holding this one up. But he was originally introduced in the first book of the Mortal Instruments, which was City of Bones. But the character that I am talking about is none other than Simon Lewis from the Mortal Instruments series. But the book that I'm currently holding up is the Tales from Shadowhunter Academy by Cassandra Clare, Sarah Reese Brennan, Maureen Johnson, and Robin Wasserman. Simon Lewis. Another one of my really awkward, but I think Simon is probably the one that I've probably kind of can see in real life, because obviously Darian is a pop star, is an actor, and he's like famous, so I'm never gonna like meet one. And Baz is a vampire, and Simon is a chosen one in a fantasy story. But Simon is just a nerdy guy. People don't give nerdy guys enough credit. Like, shout out to you nerdy kids. He's always kind of like the underdog, I think, of the Shadowhunters. Like, people, I feel like, don't appreciate his character before he was turned into like a vampire and then a Shadowhunter. Like, him as a human is just so wholesome, and he's just, I really love Simon a lot. If you're familiar with the I really like Simon because he feels like the most real character to me is obviously number one, but he's just really high up there because, I don't know, I feel like I have a chance with Simon Lewis. I'm probably a creep. Probably no one probably does this in their free time. The next book in my list, I have 4 more left, is a character that I would not normally be like attracted to or really enjoy, but it's just, they're so charismatic that I can't help but just be drawn to them, and by the way they talk, and like they're such an intellectual that in itself was just so like, a lot of these characters here, a lot of them are Gryffindors or like Slytherins, so they're very high on the like doing things. They're very brash and brave, and that's what makes them so attractive, because you can't help but be drawn to them in a loud way. But with Gansey the Third from the Raven Boys, he's attractive kind of in a quiet way, and it's kind of the same with Simon because he's like a nerd and he's like an underdog and stuff, but he comes into his own skin eventually. But Gansey is naturally such a quiet person, sort of. He's kind of a king, I guess you would say, in terms of personality to other people, but with his significant other, he says this line saying like, she makes me quiet, and you have to understand who Gansey is in order to understand the line. The way that he talks is probably the most beautiful out of all of these characters, except for this one other, who is kind of on par with him on the intellectual side, and that's what also makes him higher on my list. But Gansey is just so articulate, and he's a Ravenboy. He is such a Ravenboy. He's such a Ravenboy. He literally keeps a journal to scrapbook about Glendower. Like, hello! That is the cutest thing ever. With the Raven Cycle and with this series, I feel like the best way to go into it is not knowing a lot, because it's such an intricate, but yeah, Gansey is just, and he's romantic in like really stupid ways, and the way that he flirts with the main character is just really, it's really entertaining, and you can see what I mean when I say that like I really like the awkward kind of guy, because it's funny. It's funny and it's endearing. The next character on this list is probably the most problematic character / boyfriend that I have, Kaz Brecker from Six of Crows. Out of all of these characters, he is the only criminal on this list, which shows that even when I say that I like a nerd, maybe I also like the bad boy. Except this time, this bad boy is actually not even just a bad boy, he's a literal criminal and a murderer. And, I mean, I still love him no matter what. He's a complex character, okay? Kaz is, as I said, a complex character. Perhaps one of the most complex characters on this list. Why, you say? Because he's a literal criminal, but if you understand why he does the things that he does, and the things that he has gone through prior to that, and how it has led him to be so cruel and also mysterious, I guess, then you'll understand why, like, you can't help but be attracted to him. As I said, like, he's not the most charismatic character. He probably has the darkest humor out of all of these characters, and I love some dark humor, and I love a funny guy. Kaz, yes, is not great boyfriend material. Probably not, because he is so traumatized by some of his childhood. These men are beautiful. If any of these characters showed up at my door and just said, come with me, I don't even care about what the consequences would be. I would just take their hand and go. We are bordering on the last 2 books. So the next book is Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare, and my boyfriend from this book is Will Herondale. Will Herondale, as I said with Gansey, this is the other intellectual on my list that I love because of their love for books. Like, one of the first things that Will says to Tessa, who's is and main character of the book series, is that he like quotes books. This guy quotes books. He is an intellectual, which is beautiful in and of itself. Also another one of those really complex characters. Like, he was cursed to think that everyone that he loved would die, and that made him very self-destructive, and it broke him on the inside, even though eventually it turned out that it wasn't actually a curse at all. Will Herondale's a great character. He's a great man. It's all those complexities and all the little things that he's done for the people that he loved. Did y'all guess who number 1 was? Because you're about to find out. Ready, drumroll. But surprise, surprise. Probably not a surprise. Percy Jackson is my number 1 fictional boyfriend who trumps all of these boys. Nothing can compare to this man. Percy Jackson is the most well-developed, well-written, and beautifully written. Oh my god. I can't even begin to tell you how much I love this character, because not only did I, along with Annabeth, fall in love with him at the age of 12, but I have seen him grow from the age of 12, and I grew up alongside with him from 12 up until now 18. But I just love his character and what Rick Riordan has done with him. It is said that Percy Jackson, his fatal flaw is loyalty, and I think now that is why, me as like a human person, why I find loyalty the most important aspect to look for in a person. It's because of Percy. Okay, I'm just gonna list off the characteristics that is canon, that is set in the book of what Percy is. So he's loyal, he's willing to give up the entire world for the people that he loves. There's literal proof of that in all of the books that he's in. He is brave. He's a determined person, hardworking. I was talking about Percy Jackson's trait, and I can't believe I forgot some of these things. And there was the sarcastic and dry sense of humor that he had. His ability to be smart yet also dumb at the same time, and his ability to outsmart his opponents, as well as his want to do good and to save everyone, even if that means at the cost of himself. Everything about that is just so, and why I love him so much. There is just something about this character that I have never been able to shake, because I just love him. I am in love with a fictional person. Is that a problem? Probably. I think the reason why I fell in love with Percy Jackson's character is that I saw aspects of my personality in Percy Jackson, and I saw what he could do with who he was at 12 years old and not knowing, and he was so unsure of himself and so insecure, and really he didn't feel like a hero. But when I was 12 years old reading this book, and I saw him grow up and to become who he was, kind of showed me that I can do anything that I want. I can be a hero if that's what I want to do in my life. And I think that's what makes him so important to me, not only as a fictional boyfriend, but as a character in of itself. For Percy Jackson, the most important lesson that I learned was, 1, that you can do anything no matter who you are, and that you can be your own hero. You don't need a prophecy to tell you to be the hero. Like, I could go on and on about Percy Jackson. I really could, but I think that's all I have for today's. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're familiar with any of these characters, by all means comment down below which ones. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to see more videos from me, subscribe. If you want to get a notification anytime I post, click the little bell. Hope you guys have a good evening. But to whatever time that you guys are watching this, I hope you guys have a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, a good night, and goodbye!